Hi, thank you for joining us for another Sporting Communities mental health podcast. Sporting Communities are a community interest company. We are an ethical, non-for-profit organisation which services range from sports coaching, youth work, mentors and family support. We are a training academy delivering a range of qualifications, and we also have art and play services. Fab, so I'm James, leading it again today, and I'm joined by Ed, Denz and Martine. So we're just going to do a quick introduction again for you. So starting with you, Ed.
Hi everyone, I'm Ed. I work for Sporting Communities. I'm the Derbyshire Development Officer, but I also go out and coach and engage as well with the young people at some of the sessions. I'm also a badminton coach and a personal trainer.
Fab, thanks Ed, and coming to you, Denz.
Hi, my name's Denzel. I've been with Sporting Communities for the last couple of months as a sports engagement worker. I'm also a football coach and a songwriter.
Very good. And coming to you, Martine.
Hi, I'm Martine. I've been working for Sporting Communities since the last lockdown, and I'm a coach in running.
Great stuff. And you'll have heard me before. I'm James. So I've been with Sporting Communities for the last couple of years now, mainly going out into the community and putting on sporting sessions. But as you'll know, given lockdowns and bits like that, we've mainly been doing podcasts and stuff like that for you guys. So this week, we're going to focus on a few things. We're going to have a look at the vaccine, see what we all think about that. We're going to have a look at the new tier systems that have come into play as of today, and talk about the fact that obviously most of the surrounding areas and pretty much most of the country, to be honest, is in tier 3. And to start with, I just wanted us to talk about sort of one positive from the last week. So I'll get us kicked off. My positive from the last week is last weekend I went out and ran my first ever half marathon. It's a challenge that I set myself at the start of the year. I was meant to be doing the Derby half marathon to raise some money for some charities, but unfortunately, obviously, that got cancelled due to COVID. So I decided last weekend that was the day I was going to go out, run a half marathon, and I did. So it brought a smile to my face. It did not. It was not very good for my legs. I'm not going to lie to you. Saturday night, I was in some pain. I actually know what jelly legs is now, so that's good. But yeah, I was quite proud of myself for actually just going out and doing it. So that's my one positive from this week. So whichever one of you wants to go next, something positive that's made you smile or made you laugh over the last week.
Well done for your marathon, by the way, James. That's wicked. That's wicked, especially when you've set a goal and then you've achieved it. I can relate actually, because not in sport, but in music, because I set myself a goal to write a few more songs and that lately. And literally since we last had our podcast, I've managed to write one. So that's something I've been really, really pleased about. Sometimes I struggle with writer's block, and on the other occasion a bit of motivation. But, you know, I found a nice beat that I really connected with, and I had some really good periods of focus. And within probably less than a week, I'd managed to actually completely write 3 verses and the chorus, and it's finished now. It just needs recording. So that's progress that I've made, and something that's made me really happy and pleased with myself recently.
Wow, great stuff. You've done all that in the last week.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't happen all the time. Believe me, it doesn't. Believe it or not, despite that, there's actually probably about 3 or 4 songs that are going to be in my project that are still not complete, that I've been working on for years. So yeah, literally. So I just have to keep carrying on and running with it, and, you know, continue the form, and hopefully I'll get more out of the way. And also, I might as well quickly say I'm also working on a Sporting Communities rap. So yeah, I've got a few lines for that. So I think I'll continue with that more probably this evening and tomorrow also.
I'm definitely looking forward to hearing that one.
Yeah, you'll all get a mention in the track as well. I'm sure you'd like that. No, I'm playing, don't worry.
Great stuff. Martine, how about you? What's brought a smile to your face this week?
Well done, guys, both of you. That's great.
Thank you.
Mine's also running related, but mine's just being able to get my focus back. This week I've managed to concentrate on running just 5Ks again, but getting back my pace and my enjoyment, because over lockdown, with not being able to do what I would usually do with my group, it kind of put me off a little bit. So just focusing on myself, getting myself back out there and getting myself running again, and focusing on that 5K.
Yeah, fantastic. I think the key word there as well was enjoyment. It's going out and actually enjoying doing it. So no, that's great, Martine. Really good.
That's wicked. That's wicked that you're able to enjoy something like that, because it must make it a little easier, you know, and more likely that you feel motivated to do it. I wish I could take a leaf out of that book.
I think most of the country wish they could go out and enjoy it, in all fairness. So no, that's great. And how about you, Ed? What's brought a smile to your face?
I think over the last week, the thing that's brought a bit of joy and smile, I think.
Speaking to Denz.
Yeah, speaking to Denzel. I'm going to say that I've just been able to get in a bit more of a routine with my own kind of exercise and workouts. Obviously struggled over since probably the start of the first lockdown to kind of stay motivated from that side of things. But I think slowly, by doing a bit more each day or a bit more each week, just become a bit more routine, and I've been able to just pick that up and, you know, almost use it as a bit of a domino effect in terms of staying motivated and getting back into it. So I'd probably say that, again, touching on the enjoyment part, I've been able to just get over that first kind of wall and start to enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah, good. No, I think that shows that in a week that not a lot has happened, we've all had something that's brought a smile to our faces. So there are bits out there to cling to and sort of focus on that can bring enjoyment to your day and to your week. So no, that's really good. Thank you, guys. Leading on from that, one of the big positives that's come out from the last couple of weeks is that we are obviously getting a lot closer to a vaccine, which is looking like it's going to start to be rolled out to the country over the next sort of couple of weeks and months, hopefully meaning that by Easter things might be somewhere back to normal. So I just kind of wanted to get opinions on what do we think about the vaccine. Obviously we've only sort of been told bits and bobs about it. It's sounding like it's pretty good in terms of battling the virus and stopping it from spreading. The success rate seems to be quite high in comparison to things like the flu virus and stuff like that. Would you have it? And if you wouldn't, is there any reason why you would be reluctant to have it? And just trying to get a few opinions, really. So I don't mind who starts, but what do you think about the vaccine, and would you be interested in getting it if you were able to?
Well, my thoughts, a bit undecisive. And it's actually only because of things that have been said online on social networks. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and I've been trying to ignore it actually, because it can affect your own opinion on things, and sometimes conspiracies, they're not factual. So I'm a little bit torn whether I'd actually take the vaccine or not, because I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to be worse off from taking it than what I am without it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
but at the end of the day,
I completely agree.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if it's meant to, help us, heal us, or prevent us from catching the virus, why wouldn't you want to take the vaccine, really?
I think this leads on to a really sort of difficult topic of going forward. Let's say all four of us on this call, let's say we all rejected the vaccine and we all decided we didn't want it. Are we still going to be allowed to go out and mingle in society? Are we going to be allowed to go to the pub, to the restaurants and stuff like that, knowing full well that we could actually get it and spread it? And if we're not allowed, how is that allowed? Because then that sort of takes away your freedoms. So it's a really tricky one, I think, going forward, because I almost feel like they're going to get to the stage where they're going to have to make people get it. But how do you make someone get something? Because it's everybody's right to whether they have it or not. So I do think it's a really tricky situation. I don't quite know what the answer is, to be honest.
Do any of you think there's a potential that the government might make it law that we must all take the vaccine?
No.
Potentially, but I don't know how you could pass a law like that, to be honest, because that takes away people's freedoms.
Yeah, it's human rights, isn't it? Especially, I mean, the only thing that I think they could do to persuade certain people who might not want to take it is, if they put a restriction on travel and maybe like some whether it's sporting events or music events, festivals, where you would have to have had the vaccine to be able to do them certain things.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think that it would be in the airline's favour to do that, because I think it's just another barrier that people would use to potentially not travel or use their services or buy that ticket. So I can't see that happening, to be honest, no.
No, it's very difficult because it has got to be a personal choice. They can't really enforce anything, but I think we've just got to hope, because me personally, I will have it, that everybody will want to do the right thing and want to fight the virus and help get rid of it as soon as we can. So do what we're advised to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, it's a really good point. I think, although, let's face it, through this year, everybody is going to disagree with some of the things that have happened. I think what we have to bear in mind is the people that are leading this and the people that are maybe sending out this vaccine now to try and start to get rid of COVID, they are doing it in the best interest of everyone. They want COVID to go exactly the same as we do. So if they are advising that the best thing to do to get rid of that is to have this vaccine, you have to go by their judgment call, because at the end of the day, they are the ones in the know. And I do think it's really difficult because, like Denzel says, you see so much online about conspiracy theories, and I've seen stuff about people being microchipped and all sorts about this. And I just think, when especially young people are reading stuff like that, I can understand why they don't want to get vaccinated. 100% I can see why they don't want to, because they see all of this written online and they think, well, how do I trust the people who've been running the country that have forced me to not leave my house for the last few months over what I'm reading?
Yeah,
so
I think you've touched on it perfectly there. Exactly. Yeah. How do you trust the government?
Yeah, I completely get it. How do you trust them when you've not trusted every decision they've made this year? How do you then trust that this vaccine is going to be amazing and is going to stop COVID? I mean, the test and trace system was meant to be world beaten, and let's face it, it failed. So how do we then trust that the next thing that they bring out is actually going to be the answer? But I think, as Martin says, at the end of the day, you have to trust, because actually, if that is going to be the thing that's going to get rid of COVID and get things back to normal life, I think we have to go with it. To be honest, that's my personal opinion, but I do get why people don't want it.
I think everyone's touched on the point perfectly there, to be honest. It shouldn't be a difficult decision, but due to the government maybe making very controversial decisions, it becomes a difficult decision.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll have to just obviously wait and see. I think it's going to be given out to sort of care homes and the elderly and stuff first. So to be honest, I mean, the majority of us on here, we'd probably be last in line for it anyway. So we'll probably sort of know the results of how it's going before it gets down to sort of our level anyway, I would expect. But I suppose my personal opinion is, if you get offered it, take it. But that's just how I feel personally. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It just means that I would go with the advice that's being given to me. But I think, like you say, everybody's an individual and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So you've got to do what's right for you.
It would be interesting to see and hear what health professionals think of the vaccine, like your personal doctor or nurse and people like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, hopefully, once it starts to get rolled out to more people, we'll get to hear more from your sort of GPs and stuff like that, and they'll be ringing people and saying, look, you should be coming in and getting this. And I think people would feel a lot more at ease with it if their GP that they've been going to for the last 20 years is ringing them, telling them, you need to come and get this vaccine. You'd go and have it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because you built up trust with those, and they're going to be more knowledgeable on the vaccine than you are.
Yeah, correct. I think, again, it's that trust. It's trust, isn't it? If you trust someone, you're going to do what they say. If you don't trust them, you're not necessarily going to do what they say. So I think that's the way to go with it. But we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Like I say, I think we'll be a bit further down the list, so it might be a while before it gets to us. Just to say as well, guys, if any young people listening want to send us your opinions, or if you've got any questions, or if you've been a little bit uneasy about whether people should be having it or not, if you send us the questions, drop them into the comments box, and we'll either cover your point on the next podcast, or obviously we can get an answer to you with regards to the questions that you ask. So just leave a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Great stuff. So just touching on that then, guys, obviously it's going to have a big impact on people's mental health, with regards to sort of being anxious about what to do about the vaccine. So what sort of advice would you give to someone who's feeling a bit anxious, with regards to sort of not knowing what to do and what information is coming out?
What I would say is not to believe everything that you read, and just be aware that not everyone is, not everybody has a degree in health or the medical school. So don't take everything that they say as the way to go. One thing that's been worrying me is I worry that this could develop a lot of paranoia for people. And I just think, similar to what we said before, perhaps if you have an appointment with your GP, or any sort of other health professional, you can maybe mention it to them, and they're probably the ones that will give you the best advice and also more knowledgeable on what's going on in the vaccine and how to better handle yourself throughout the current climate and things that we're going through.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think there's so much false news out there at the minute, and unfortunately social media, it spreads like wildfire. So like you say, it is bear in mind that your healthcare professional will know more than, let's say, John on Facebook, who's never done anything to do with sort of doctors or anything like that in his life, so hasn't really got a clue, but he's probably seen a video online and then he's shared it and then someone else has shared it, and before you know it, it's all over the country. And like we mentioned before, everybody suddenly thinks you're being microchipped. So it's being careful what you read, and it's being careful how much you take from that. And like you say, if you are unsure and you're feeling anxious, speak to a professional. Speak to a professional who does know about these things, and they will be able to give you the best advice. But don't take too much from what you're reading.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, if you have got any concerns, anything worrying you about anything that you've read or heard, you just talk to somebody. Air your concerns with the family member or somebody and just talk it through, and that can help. If you've got any concerns with anything that you hear or read, it can really help just to talk to somebody about it.
That's really wise, actually, Martine, because there are people closer to home that you can speak to around the clock. And I think what you've just said, hopefully it will prevent people from just sitting there and letting all these different thoughts go around in their head. If they just get it out to at least someone, it might stop them from going a bit crazy, really.
Yeah, just don't sit and worry about it. If there is something that you're confused about or that is concerning you, just find somebody just to talk it out, just talk through it.
Yeah, I know with regards to myself, if I'm struggling with stuff like that and I don't talk about it before I go to sleep, guarantee I don't get a good night's sleep. And then the next day I wake up tired and I've still got it on my mind. And it then takes me a couple of days to get back into a proper routine because I'm so tired from not sleeping. And so what I try to do now is if it's getting into the evening and I've got something on my mind, like you said, Martin, just talk to someone, get it off your chest, so that when you do go to bed, you're not thinking about that. You can get a good night's sleep and you can get up the next day and you can go again. I know that really helps me. So no, I think that's really good advice, Martin, to be honest.
Yeah, in another way of almost saying the same thing, I'd say just not overthink it. Try not to overthink it as well. If you whatever decision you may, go with it, or you're allowed to change your mind, obviously, but try to take it off the front of your mind. Again, I'm sure whatever decision you make, you've just got to be confident that it's the right one and don't let it play on your mind too long.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well, obviously, because the vaccine's almost being thrown at us at the minute and it's on the news every day and they're talking about it, talking about success rates, everybody's kind of making their decision now. Like, do I want this vaccine? Do I not want this vaccine? Even us talking about it a minute ago. And actually, that isn't even an option right now. Like, they are still doing tests with it before they roll it out. And when they do roll it out, I'm sure it will be safe to roll out. Otherwise, they wouldn't be. And so actually, when it gets to that point, then you make that decision. Don't be worrying about it now, because we might be a couple of months away from that. So you don't want to spend the next 3 months stressing about whether you want this vaccine or not, when actually, by the time it gets to it, the decision might be made for you. And you might think, yeah, do you know what? I definitely want this because it's been really successful. So don't spend the next 3 months stressing when you don't need to.
Yeah, don't let it get you down.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, perfect. So to end this week again, we're just going to give a quick tip about how best to cope if you are struggling. So coming to you, Martine, first.
Yeah, my tip for the week is get some fresh air, get out, do a bit of exercise, be it walking, running, whatever you enjoy, and just leave whatever is causing you any anxieties or any thing that you're worrying about. Just leave it all at home and just get out and get some fresh air.
Great stuff. Thank you, Martine. And Den's coming to you.
Okay, so my tip of the week is to not believe everything that you read and just to understand that opinions aren't factual.
Yeah, great stuff. Ed?
My tip is to not overthink things and realise that there's a much, not, I don't want to say bigger world, but there's, you know, your problem you might see it as a massive problem, but it won't be. Like, not to let a small problem or issue turn into a big one. So just kind of sometimes take a step back, think about the situation. There's a much bigger situation, and you know, your whatever problem it is, it will soon pass. And just to not let it get you down so much. Sometimes I think of like going into a worst case scenario, and even the worst case isn't that bad, and then just think, you know, how am I going to get out of feeling like this? And I put myself in that worst case scenario, and then think, you know, I'm nowhere near that stage yet, but if I got to that stage, I could deal with that situation. How, you know, even in that worst case, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying.
I'm putting myself in the frame of mind that, okay, well, I can deal with the issue as a worst case. So I can definitely deal with it now, and then I'm sort of preparing myself that if it did get to that case, I know I'm prepared to deal with it, and it's actually still not even that bad, and that it will pass.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's a good one. And my one, going to me last. So mine is just to keep connecting with people. So just because obviously we're getting towards the end of the lockdown and we're going into a new tier system, don't forget that you need to speak to people, and there's people out there that might need to speak to you. So if you're having a bad day, or you feel like someone else might be having a bad day, just reach out to people and just have a conversation, because it will make you feel better. So yeah, that's all our tips for this week. We hope they help you. If you do want to ask us any questions, or you want to get in touch with us, as we say, just leave comments in the drop box, and we'll endeavour to get back to you as quick as we can. But from us, thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon, guys. Take care of yourselves.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.